G'day everyone and welcome down under to here in Australia, where we are getting set for round number 10 of the Kamel GT Championship from the one and only Mount Panorama. Only a few races remain in the season and this could prove a critical one. Who knows what's going to happen? Well, let's find out together, as we are getting set for today's race here live on the global SimRacing channel. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director Sean Ambrose and he's using camera sets provided to us as always by Dougie Beard. Before Le Mans, the Nordschleife and the new Mount Washington hill climb came to iRacing, this was the largest and arguably one of the most feared road to courses on the iRacing service. And you know what? With massive elevation changes and close walls, it's still a beast, and a favourite circuit for many a driver. Let's get a look at Mount Panorama with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrod Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Rock Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today.
Well, I'm about to hand it over to Adam for the track info, and we're going to bring up a two-dimensional track map on your screen, but Adam, this track is definitely not 2 dimensions. A bit of communication issues right here, but you get the idea of this Mount Panorama circuit. 3.8 miles, 6 kilometers around the circuit, 20 turns, massive elevation changes up and down the mountain. Adam?
Absolutely. Without any of the runoff or purpose-built track surface, this public road will be a challenge for both classes. The Nissan will struggle most headed up the mountain, as the surprisingly sharp curves, close walls, and bumpy track surface make getting traction down a serious challenge. The Audis will struggle across the top and coming down the mountain, as their weight and four-wheel drive are the bane of the descent, pushing them wide through the apexes and locking their brakes, threatening to send them into the ever-so-close barriers. Multi-class here, well, it really should exist, but that's exactly why Kamel runs Bathurst. The Nissans lap nearly 10 seconds faster than the Audis, and any holdup over the mountain will cost them time. But time is nothing compared to the time penalty that damage will give you around this circuit, so patience is going to be key. The best places to pass are into Quarry, into Chase, and into Murray's. Anywhere else is a serious danger zone. Add to that the endurance format and a mandatory pit stop with one of the most challenging pit entries in motorsports, and it's bound to be a cracking race today, Sam.
Absolutely. Now we have 2 different classes competing here. That means 2 different championships, and it's becoming crunch time towards the end of the season. Here are the GTP stand-ins. These are the drivers in the prototype-looking Nissans. Nicolas Schneider leads that championship. He has 56 markers over a tie for second place between Fabian Dringbluth and Lars Olsen. Not too far behind him are Martin Kresrik, and Togo Hisada is also there there in that battle for third position with Mark Gamak. So lots of battles still left to be resolved in the GTP standings with 3 races left to go.
Absolutely, and the GTOs are much tighter with Phil Lake now 6 points over Yuko Leskola as he continues to extend that lead, taking wins over Yuko. Ove Trangerade now back in the third position, 36 points back, and then the driver who will not be named down in 4th position. Trying to give you some better luck today, bud. And then we have Jamie Hamill-Smith down in 5th position, 60 points back of the lead and only 8 points behind the Dirty Truck driver. So very tight race up there for the lead of the GTO standings. It'll be interesting to see whether Yuko or Phil can take pole today.
Well, we're finding out right now because the qualifying session is underway here at Mount Panorama. There you get a good look at Skyline, where they go over the crest of a hill and begin to go downhill. And Adam, I should imagine that since these are older cars, they don't necessarily turn or brake or do anything well or stable. Going downhill, I think, is for me, it's a little bit easier in the little practice I did with these cars, because you're kind of just letting gravity control the car, whereas going up a hill, that seems to be really tricky. You gotta turn and make sure you're moderating your speed and getting your racing line right, when one mistake going up that hill can throw you off, although granted, one mistake can also throw you off going down a hill too.
Absolutely, and these Nissans especially are very prone to getting some extra damage for these drivers, so they're going to have to be very careful as they go over the curbs and around this track. Javier Mosquera puts in the first flying time. Laust Olsen up to the pole, 7/10 faster than him.
These drivers all have 8 minutes to get in 2 timed laps, and it's a very large track, as I think we've established quite well, so you don't really want to, you can't really afford to make any mistakes during this 8-minute qualifying session, because if you have to go back to the pits, it's really going to put a damper on your chances of getting a competitive lap time in. But here we go, we're getting cars, not only Nissans, but Audis across the line too. You can see the Audi's lap times are about 15 seconds behind those of the Nissans. Expect them to go a few laps down this race, as long as this track is, and the fact we have a 1-hour race. As a matter of fact, let's bring up our race info here. This is an endurance event. A lot of these races are 40 minutes, but today's race is 60 minutes. Maximum of 55 starters. We only have 36 here, I think, for this event. Open setup, no fast repair. They will require a pit stop, as Adam mentioned, and if you get 17 incident points, you get a penalty. If you get 25 incident points, yeah, you get disqualified. This is an official series iRacing event. So, you know, pretty much as long as you have a license and the cars and the track on iRacing, you can jump into this race and do it. But a lot of these drivers are regulars to this car, and we also have a few track winners here, Adam, such as the nature of Mount Panorama.
Absolutely, and that's fairly normal around here for this particular track. But up the lead of the standings right now, it is Sean Campbell over Matthias Hovdal and Aitor Sintes Guindo. So Sean Campbell doing a great job today, putting in a decent time. And in the Audis, it is Phil Lake who has it best over Yuko Leskola at the moment. So Phil Lake on pole. Sean Campbell puts in yet another fastest lap, 1:44.8. So great job from him. Reed Miller just now coming down the Conrad Straight towards the chase, trying to set yet another fast time. Phil Lake over Yuko Leskola by nearly 4/10.
Yeah, now you see those timings on the left-hand side of your screen. So this is a GTO class racing the Audis around here. And we're trying to pick up Sean Campbell. Here we go. We picked Phil Lake back up again. Across the line, I think that's an improvement. Actually, he's gone faster than one of the GTP cars, who's a little bit off the pace, but I'm pretty sure they'll still start them with their class. Yuko Leskola across the line, he improves. Still second in class, though.
Absolutely. Our championship leader, Nicholas Schneider, puts in a good time for third position in the GTPs. Mika Tupola crossing the line with a 2:05.324. That's going to be good enough for 13th position in class for him. Yuka Luskala's second lap was not good enough to overtake Phil Lake, so he's going to start in second position. Oh, look at that. That was Marcus Broquist, who unfortunately spins on the final corner. Nicholas Rage rejoins us and goes 12th position in the GTPs, with Martin Krajcik trying to set a representative lap time. A 1:48.891 will be the fastest he could put in. 12th position for him, and we still have about 8 cars that have yet to set qualifying times here.
Yeah, well, we've seen some drivers making mistakes and running off, and obviously if you do that in qualifying, Ove Chandra, in fact, letting his car drift through the final corner there, he comes across the line at 2:02.1, picks up a position. But yeah, if you run off course, obviously your lap time won't count. At the track like Lime Rock, that's okay. You'd pull back into the pits and try again. Can't really do that here at Bathurst in an 8-minute session. Matthias Havdal crossing. He's already way off a pace there.
Yeah, Havdal is in second place. It looks like he had trouble on that second lap, but Sean Campbell, a second, nearly a second and a quarter faster than Matthias Havdal and Nick Schneider for that pole position. So it's going to be a very great race for him today.
And qualifying is about to conclude. It looks like Sean Campbell is going to get pole in GTPs and Philip Lake is going to get pole in GTOs. We're letting the session advance, and let's read out the grid for you. It is going to be Sean Campbell starting on pole position with a 0.3 of a second, a lap time that's 0.3 of a second clearer than that of Matthias Havdal there in second position. Nicholas Schneider will be starting third place. Remember, the numbers you see underneath them are based on their iRating because it is an official series race. And H.R. Sintes Jalino is going to be starting fourth place in the 16 car. Laus Dolson, the number 18, but he'll be starting fifth alongside Fabian Jungbluth. Togo Hazardo will be starting from seventh place ahead of Javier Mosquera in eighth. Rounding out the top 10 will be Joseph Mudrek and Mark Gamak. In 11th position in GTP will be Gianluca Drabiani. Martin will be starting alongside him in 12th place ahead of Nicholas Rage and Douglas Cloud in 14th. Stephen Porter was 15th in the last GTP driver to set a lap time. There are 2 other GTPs in the running who did not set a lap time, and those were Pablo Suarez and Peter. Help me with that last name, Adam.
That is Brizniak. Let's get Phil Lake on pole position for the GTOs with Yuka Leskala starting off in second place. Niels Kort's going to start off third, a good qualifying for him, with Ove Traegerade lining up alongside him in fourth. Driver who must not be named starting off in fifth position with Reed Miller starting off in sixth. Ben Laughter is going to start off seventh position with Marty Olay in eighth spot. Ian Haycock starting off ninth for the GTOs with Jamie Hamill-Smith rounding out your top 10. Hideki Koivisto and Fabio Saul 11th and 12th. Then we got Devin Donahue in 13th and Mika Tupola 14th. Jack Gatlin, last driver to set a time, 15th for the Audis with Carlos Fonseca, Axel Boda Herreras, Marcus Broquist, and Michael Haynes not setting times in the Audis, rounding out your 19-car Audi field and your 36 cars joining us for today.
And the field is already rolling off. You can see they've gridded up on the back straight here. They're already coming up to the trace, so only a couple of corners separating them from the green flag. So not a lot of time to get these tires warmed up here. And with as powerful as these cars are, you do want to have warm tires out of in some of the acceleration zones, particularly coming out of a first corner, Hell, which was a 90-degree left-hander, that not this turn here on screen, but the turn after it, that kicks off a lap. You don't want to really get a lot of wheel spin there and drop it on exit. It can happen. Let's hope they all get through that first corner cleanly. Sean Campbell about to lead the field away for 60 minutes of racing, about 30 laps, and he's on the loud pedal. We are underway here at Mount Panorama. A nice jump by Sean Campbell. He's already pulling to the outside. You might have a car looking down the inside there, but no, they're scrapping out for second place. Sean Campbell's really got the jump here. Adam.
Phil Lake got a fantastic jump on the GTO field as well. Yuko Lesko is being challenged by Niels Kort to the inside, but Yuko with a decent drive on the outside of the corner. He's able to clear him coming off of the corner, but unfortunately, he's still going to be side by side as they head up towards Quarry, but Phil Lake with nearly a second and a half lead.
So they've all gotten through hell cleanly, but now they're working their way up a mountain, and this is where it gets tricky, because if they make a mistake, there's walls alongside them. So it was Matthias Havdol who did not get the good start, but he jumped to the inside to try and challenge Sean Campbell for the lead into the first corner. It kind of backfired against him and bunched them all together for second place. He's held that second position though, but he's just lost a bit of time on Sean Campbell. Now here they come up to Skyline. This is where they go from going up the hill to back down the hill.
Absolutely, the GTP is about half the course ahead of the GTOs. Everyone's still very clean for both classes right now. Nobody's had an issue so far as we come over the hill for the GTOs and down the hill for the GTPs. GTP's really struggling with that front tire grip with this opening lap. Tires not warmed up yet for these GTPs, but everyone seems to have gotten through Forest Elbow fairly cleanly onto the Conrad Straight.
How many official series can say that on iRacing, that they have a single split of 36 cars and all of them can navigate the first lap of Bathurst cleanly? That tells you how talented these drivers are, and these very tricky to drive cars at this very tricky to drive course. They're making it through the trace, they're making it up to Morris. This left-hander is where they kicked off a race a lap ago. It's where Sean Campbell controls the field to lead lap number 1, 2 minutes into the event.
Absolutely, Sean Campbell with about a second over Matthias Havdal, but Yuko Leskala has actually dropped down to third position for the GTOs. He's actually trying to challenge Niels Kor, couldn't quite make the move into chase, and a little bit too far back for Murray's, unfortunately. But as he's doing this, as he's battling with Niels, he's watching Phil Lake get away, and this is his championship rival who's 6 points ahead of him. He needs to start making progress, otherwise Phil might have this thing secured even before they start getting lapped by the GTPs.
Yeah, one thing about this Mount Panorama circuit, yes, if you don't do a lot of practice and you start at the back and you're just trying to survive, you can gain a lot of SR and I rating from gaining positions from others' mistakes. But if you're up here, up front, as we see Yuko trying to make that move for second place, that was a nicely timed move, and he's going to be able to make it stick, is he? He's going to use all of a curb on exit, but yeah, he made the pass. But yeah, if you really want to race up front here, you've got to get at it, because things can get spread out at this circuit in the long run up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Track position is so important for these drivers as we start going over the hill with these Audis. The Audis with that four-wheel drive system, it actually makes it really difficult to go over the top of the hill because of how that four-wheel drive system works. It tends to pull you away from the apexes and right close to the walls. But if you're a fast driver, you're absolutely going to maximize that opportunity to get that straight line speed and rub up right next to the walls, as we see the V8 supercars do quite often.
Talking about straight line speed, the GTPs are hitting about 180 miles an hour as they come to the end of the back straight to go through the trace, and our leaders have already passed that. Actually, a bit of a moment there from Sean Campbell heading into the final turn. Don't think it cost him too much time, but I'm sure he's keeping an eye on these mirrors, because Matthias is less than a second behind him. Sean Campbell, though, fastest lap, so I guess he was able to pull away from Matthias, but still, that number 4 car is keeping him honest.
Absolutely. One driver that I'm surprised is struggling is Nicholas Schneider in the 4th position. But look at this. That is a pass on screen, I believe. That is for the 4th position between Ove Trankerade and a Dirty Torque driver. So Ove Trankerade able to get himself into 4th, up ahead of the driver in red.
Yeah, and things are really bunched up here as the GTOs come around to complete their second lap. So this is from 5th on back with Nicholas Mykonos in that dark red car. So yeah, Ove Trantre, so it's 4th and back if you say that Ove is still part of this battle, but honestly, like you say, he's pulling away from Nicholas a little bit, and Nicholas might want to keep an eye on these mirrors because he's got a whole train of cars behind him.
Absolutely, and one driver that's starting to struggle a little bit is Fabian Jungbluth in the 6th position in the GTPs, and here's Laust Olsen, who goes a little bit wide as they duck through the dipper, and now Togo Hasada trying to hang on to the rear of the car, trying to get a good exit off of Forest Elbow, is able to do so right in the draft of Laust Olsen. Now let's see who's got better trim today. I think Laust has got the car a little bit trimmed out, but Togo Hisada still with a great run. He's going to pull the inside here as they approach as they go down the Conrad Straight. They're going to take the right-hander here and then dip it down into the chase, and Togo Hisada ahead already. He's going to try and cover off Laust Olsen, able to do so as they go through the chase. He's moved himself up into 7th position.
And let's add into this the fact that they're coming up to a lap car here. The GTO of Jack Gatland has gotten off to a poor start, and he's already being lapped by these GTP cars, and so they're going to have to try and navigate their way around him cleanly as they're battling for this position.
Yeah, and Matthias Hovdal sets the fastest lap of the race in second position, so the lead of this race might actually be closing up between Sean Campbell and Hovdal. That'll be very interesting as they start to go over the hill. It looks like Hovdal is feeling a little bit better in this car once they get the tires warm.
Yeah, he's been hanging back about a second back ever since the race started, to be honest. I almost wonder, I'm sure he's racing as fast as he can, but maybe could there be something said for conserving his car and saving a little bit of fuel? Maybe trying to play a fuel strategy game in the long run here. We will have to make a pit stop, so it'll be interesting to see how the air and flow. Just watching these guys on the monitor, though, riding on board this on this car, you can tell that if they are saving gas, they're not saving a whole lot, because they're absolutely flying through the mountain section.
Yeah, I highly doubt these two guys are saving at all. Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdal absolutely want to be leading this race. Both of them tend to run trimmed out machines, so they want as little aerodynamic disturbance as possible on the front of these cars. And you can see Hovdal, he was as close as 4/10 coming up to the mountain, and now coming back down the other side after going through all those twisty bits. He's lost 4/10. He's now down to 8/10.
Lap traffic will start to play a factor for our leaders within the next few laps. Obviously, as you saw with the GTO car a moment ago, if you catch a lapped car on one of the long straights, it's not too much of a concern, but if you catch them in the mountain, that's where things are going to get interesting. By the way, those tire marks you saw on the exit of hell there were from a couple of GTO cars last lap, just running wide, but they all kept going.
Absolutely, that was Marcus Broquist and Axel Boada Herreras, who are back in the back of the GTO field. Jack Gatlin has already taken a pit stop, so he must not have fueled the car enough in the GTOs. He's at the very back of the field, 36th overall, but we're going to jump up to P8 in the GTPs. We've got Javier Mosquera being chased down by Joseph Mudrack as they go through Quarry.
Yeah, so this is definitely a place where you can't make a pass happen. I wonder if that pit stop you were talking about already, if that was a result of damage, or maybe he didn't fill the fuel up, fill the car back up with fuel after qualifying. I know that's happened in the past. By the way, I don't think we've really seen any major accidents this early in the race. I have noticed that Peter Bruneski in the number 30... we might have one now.
That was Javier Mosquera, who just missed his braking point heading down into Skyline. So unfortunately, he had to give way to Joseph Mudrack. We're going to see it right here.
Right on the limit early on in the race, they go over Skyline. It's a blind crest. You think he just got a little bit loose under braking?
Absolutely. That car was turning right, and he realized that it was going to come out from underneath him and just pointed it straight and took the cut. So that was a smart move from him to keep his race alive.
Oh, lap traffic has bulked Sean Campbell, and now he has Matthias Hovdal all over the back of him as they're working their way through the final corner. So that could have been an opportunity for Matthias, but he wasn't able to take it. But now he is right up behind the race leader.
Absolutely. Got another lap car, Marcus Broquist, up here. They're going to be passing on the straightaway. Should be a fairly easy move for both of them, but the damage is already done to Campbell's lead. Matthias Hovdal now right up his rear bumper, but he's been this close before. They're catching up to Michael Haynes, and then it'll be another 10 seconds up to Carlos Fonseca. So Michael Haynes is one that they're going to catch as they go over the mountain. This is where things are going to start to get hairy for these leaders.
And we'll keep an eye on the battle for third for you as well, because they're going to be catching these lap cars through this part of the racetrack too, and third and fourth place quite close on track together.
Here we go. Patience for both of our leaders as they wait behind Haynes and go by him now as they duck through McPhilly Park up towards Skyline. Great job from them. We're going to head down to Aitor Santisquito and Nicholas Macanos Nicholas Schneider as they both make their way past Marcus Broquist. So they've made it cleanly past Broquist. Now they're going to catch up to Michael Haynes on the downhill.
Yeah, no, very sensible driving and execution of when to make a passes and when to just hold position from our leaders so far early on in the race. So we'll see if things change as we get closer to the finish of this event. But that just shows you how talented all these drivers are in the Kamel GT Championship. I know there's a lot of series out there in a single split class where you wouldn't see that level of patience.
And Campbell and Hovdahl now catching up to the next battle between Carlos Fonseca and Mika Tupola as they're battling for 14th.
Michael Haynes is in the grass. He comes back on the track, locks up, but he doesn't hit anyone. Became a bit of a bowling ball there with the pins that got in the way.
Absolutely, both of them. We're watching Heitor Santos Guindo and Nicholas Schneider as they're battling for 3rd and 4th, as our leaders are going to catch up to 2-lap cars as they get back onto the mountain straight. There we see them navigating that particular battle. You can see Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdahl trying to get as much draft as they can before they head up to quarry.
Things calm down for these guys a little bit right now. I'll tell you what, though, they're about to catch a pretty impressive GTO battle for about 10th place, being led by Hideki Kavisto. He's got quite a bit of pressure from behind him. They're working their way up towards Skyline right now.
Absolutely, Hideki Kavisto, Jamie Hamill-Smith, and Devin Donaghy all racing each other over the top of this hill. All of them right around the same pace, and they've got Stephen Potter, who started from the pits, tucked in behind them, catching them up slowly, and then Sean Campbell just about 3.5 seconds back as well. So they're going to have some company as they approach the chase after the Conrad Straight this time.
Yeah, Stephen Potter has a number 36 on his car. That means he has the lowest I rating in the field. I think he's just here trying to gain some experience and all that, because he is going to be a lapped car for our GTP leaders as well. So hopefully he'll be able to stay out of trouble. But we keep an eye on this GTO battle being led by Kavisto as they come up to arguably one of the best passing opportunities on the track. Although it is off camber, so if you get it wrong, you can end up in the grass there.
And there's Sean Campbell making his way through. Matthias Hovdahl got held up by the lapped car of Stephen Porter. But look at this. That's Campbell getting held up as well. So now 5 cars all in this group as they go by. That's Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdahl. Can Hovdahl get past both of them before they reach turn 1? No, he cannot. So Hovdahl has to stay behind, and Sean Campbell starts to run away with it.
Talked about overshooting the truce. It's something Heitor Santos Guindo just did. He was in 3rd position. He ran off. He was a bit too late on the brakes in that hard braking zone at the end of the back straight, and he has dropped from 3rd to 5th position. That's a final corner there. That's Maury's we just saw. That's where he lost 4th place, and you can see he tries to get 4th back, but was unable to do it.
Absolutely. So unfortunately for him, he's now fallen back a couple of positions, now tucked in behind Fabian Jungbluth and Nicholas Schneider. Sean Campbell's now caught up to Ben Lafter and Ian Haycox, who are battling for 8th and 9th position, as we still right on board with Heitor Santos Guindo as he tries to climb the hill. All this traffic starting to come up, and actually the leaders just almost made contact with Ian Haycox and Ben Lafter, and now as they come down through the S's and into the Dipper, that was really dangerous stuff right there.
Oh, things are getting really dangerous. Oh, there's contact at the top of the hill at Skyline. We're getting a replay here. The contact is Devin Donaghy. Let's get the number 25 of Devin Donaghy on camera on the replay here.
And this was with himself and Fabian Jungbluth.
Yeah, well, things were getting really bunched up behind the slow GTP car of Stephen Potter, and they were side by side at the top of a hill, and Devin Donaghy was the one who came off worst out of it. So you see that pink GTP there is a little off a pace, and I think that the GTOs are watching their mirrors to let the lead GTP cars by, and they didn't expect all the traffic to happen in front of them, and things just accordion together here. And Devin was the one who ended up coming across ahead of Fabian Jungbluth and went for a spin.
Yeah, and Jungbluth just punted off Hideki Kavisto as well. So Fabian Jungbluth just absolutely a bowling ball right now in the GTPs. Really, he's trying his best to get past these GTOs as efficiently as possible. But unfortunately, he's just ending up causing more damage than not.
Yeah, he did put his nose in at the top of Skyline there. I think it was all a bit of confusing. A bit of confusion there. Oh, here we go. Another close call with the GTO car. You mentioned Hideki Kavisto. He's in the pits with quite a bit of damage on his car right now. In fact, a couple cars coming into the pits, and Kavisto has retired. I wonder if these are early pit stops or if they are cars getting damage repaired.
Absolutely. So our leaders in the GTPs have almost fully lapped the GTO field. They're going to be breathing a sigh of relief, more or less. They've got Niels Kor, Yuko Leskala, and Phil Lake that they have to lap, and then it is back to lapping the field once again. So they're still only separated by about 0.3 is Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdal as they catch up to Niels Kor, heading through Force Elbow onto Conrad. Here we go, taking a look at them. Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdal. You can see Campbell able to get through first. Hovdal's going to follow through second. They should be able to get Yuko by the time they get to... Oh, it's going to be close. They're going to get to the cutting here. And that's going to be Campbell through. Hovdal's going to go around the outside and able to get through cleanly. Did he brake too late? No, he looks like he's fine. A little bit of a late braking moment there, but he's able to get through.
So things got a bit hairy a couple of laps ago, and unfortunately the one who paid the price for it was Hideki Kavisto, but things seem to have calmed down a little bit for now, but we're only about 15 minutes into this race. This is going to keep happening. We're going to keep getting these packs, and fortunately this time around Sean Campbell has been able to emerge from all the lap traffic still with the race lead, but we did get a shake-up for third from fifth in the GTP standings. Phil Lake still leading things over in the GTO class by about 3 seconds over Leskala.
Absolutely, and that was Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdal making their way past Phil Lake. So Phil Lake is now officially a lap down on our overall leader for the race for the first time. So this changes things a little bit because now Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdal have to worry about passing the lower GTO classes as well. We're going to take a look at Laust Olsen, who's currently in a battle. This is with Togo Hisada. Togo Hisada actually went off in the chase last lap due to being a little bit panicked from that contact that we saw with Fabian Jungbluth and Hideki Kavisto. So now they're actually trapped up behind Reed Miller and a dirty torque driver. Let's see whether or not they can get this done over the top of the hill.
Yeah, well, this is where we saw a bit of Oh, there we go. The GTO goes out wide and lets them by on the inside before they get to Skyline.
Oh boy. Mudrack's going to go for it here.
I think they're going to do it.
Oh, that was so close between everyone, but Laust Olsen, Togo Hisada, and Joseph Mudrack now. Everyone follows them through. And the dirty torque drivers are allowed to battle each other once again for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, I mentioned how the driver who came off worst out of all of it was Hideki Kavisto. Add to that list Jamie Hemel-Smith. His GTO was sitting in the pits with a bit of damage on it, and it's been there for a while, so I think his race might be done.
Look at this, though. Togo Hisada with a great draft. They're coming up to Ove Trangre, who's going to be slow into the chase. It's going to be tight under the brakes. Laust Olsen's going to take it, and so is Togo. Togo almost running into the back of Laust Olsen as they go through the chase. Able to hang on to it, though. Laust Olsen gets the better exit.
Yeah, got very close there in the braking zone as they all accordion together, but they were able to not come to blows, and they go across the line to complete lap number 10 of their race. Again, this is going to be about a 33 lap race or so, so coming up on that third race distance. Now, when do you think we're going to start seeing pit stops here, Adam?
I think these drivers are going to go as long as they can unless the tires start giving them trouble in the GTPs. The GTOs likely won't change tires on their pit stop. Just due to the time loss, because they probably don't need all that much fuel compared to the GTPs around here. There we saw Laust Olsen and Togo Hisada. This is actually between Reed Miller and a dirty torque driver for 5th and 6th. That's Reed in the back, and he's actually getting passed right now, getting lapped by I believe that's Ove Trangre.
Yeah, it's Reed Miller getting lapped by the 10th and 11th place GTP cars. I think Mark Gamek and Martin Kreshcherik, and they're working their way
Pablo
up.
Suarez has gone around. And he's got around in a horrible place, the cutting. And now he's caused more wrecks between Ben Lafter and Stephen Potter.
This is a problem with parts of the circuit with walls close around, especially with the amount of blind turns here. So let's try and find out what happened. Oh, so there he's ramped wide. I don't know what led to that.
It was just a self-spin, unfortunately. He comes through. Yeah, he comes up to the cutting. And then he just spins it out, unfortunately. Oh, makes contact there. And then gets himself stuck. And then as he's backing out, he unfortunately just catches out the two drivers behind him unawares.
Yeah, that's Stephen Potter in the 36. He's retired from the race. Number 13 GTO was Ian Haycox. So Pablo Suarez is there backing up, and I'm assuming what happened is the 36 of Stephen Potter saw him backing up, probably slowed down a bit more than what Haycox had anticipated, and that led to the resulting collision. Pablo Suarez coming into the pits right now to get his damage repaired. I'm assuming this is probably in the pit window.
Should be just barely in the pit window for Pablo, so he should be okay to make it to the end of the race. You might have to soft pedal it for the last couple of laps, but we're back on board with Togo Hisada as he tries to chase down Laust Olsen. This battle has been brewing for quite a few laps, and not really any change going on here. They go past Jack Gatlin up as they dive into the S's here. Wow! Togo Hisada caught it very poorly there, had to take to the runoff, able to keep going on, but man, that was a scary moment for Togo. He has to take a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, but fortunately he's got a bit of clear air behind him, so he can give up a little bit of time without losing any positions there. Hasn't really lost that much track position either. It sounds like he's back up to full power now, so I think he's gone ahead and served it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's his chances on Laust Olsen have disappeared until Laust gets held up by traffic again. And I say that with almost a degree of certainty because that's just how this track works, to be honest. We have a nice battle for fourth position between Fabian Jungbluth and Aitor Sintes Guindo as they cross the line to start their 13th lap. Aitor trying to catch up to the back of Jungbluth, who's been struggling to get past those GTOs today.
Yeah, let's not forget Aitor was running up in third at the start of a race, and then he made a mistake, sent him back to fifth position, and he's probably still kicking himself after that, because since he's gotten stuck behind Fabian here, they've lost 7 seconds on Nicholas Schneider, and Aitor was running ahead of Nicholas Schneider earlier on.
Absolutely. Schneider has been able to recover from not a great start. He's made himself back up into third position and is trying to close that 8.5 second gap up to Matthias Hobdahl. So he's got some work to do. So does Aitor Sintes Guindo. As they close up on Michael Haynes, they're going to catch him right around McTolney Park. Here we go. Nice. Doing it in the short shoot between the two. But yeah, Schneider, like you said, 7 seconds up ahead. Guindo taking it very deep there into the S's and into the Dipper, trying to close that gap to Jungbluth.
Yeah, and you can see at the top of your screen the gap between our two overall leaders, Sean Campbell and Matthias Hobdahl, has grown, and that's because the GTO of Jamie Hamel-Smith, who was in the pits with significant damage earlier, has came back out, and he just got caught up by the leaders at a bad part of the circuit. Hobdahl got held up, and he's now lost a couple of seconds to our GTP leader, Sean Campbell.
And here comes Aitor Sintes Guindo. He's going to think about making a move into the chase. He's going to take a little dive up to the inside, but Jungbluth, with late on the brakes, able to get it done. Can Guindo get a good run off of the corner up into Murray's corner? And the answer is no, can't quite get there. My apologies, Aitor. We've been saying your name wrong all this time. Aitor Sintes Galindo, we were corrected in the chat just a couple of weeks ago, so thank you for reminding me of that. Aitor Sintes Galindo trying to make the move on Jungbluth, trying to get a good run through Harold Corner, but can't quite do so. Jungbluth starting to scamper away.
Now brake fade is a problem. It's something that gets simulated in these cars, correct, Adam?
It seems to be. We had the first race of the season where it definitely was a factor for these drivers. Ever since, they've either been able to adapt or it's been modified in some way in one of the patches that makes it a little bit less effective. But we're looking on board with Dirty Torque driver looking back at Reed Miller, who's trying to challenge him for 5th position. Right now, Reed having both of these drivers actually pretty much the top 6 as they run right now in the GTOs are as they started, with Phil Lake in the lead, Yuko Leskola second, Niels Kor third, 5 seconds behind Yuko, with Ove Trangrade in 4th, a Dirty Torque driver 5th, and then Reed Miller in 6th. But Reed really starting to put the pressure on Nick.
You may have heard the pit lane siren going off there. We've had a few damaged GTO cars coming into the pits recently. Herrerias just came into the pits to get some damage fixed on his number 29 car. No leaders into the pits yet, though. And as I say that, Havdol makes his way down pit road. So he's been losing some time in traffic in the battle for the GTP lead. So he's going to get his pit stop done and over with early and see if he can find some clean traffic, maybe put in a couple of hot laps and see if he can beat Sean Campbell that way. He's going to have to watch out for Ian Haycox coming out of his pit box if Havdol looks for his.
So here's the thing, though. I don't necessarily agree with this particular strategy because I have a feeling that he's actually going to get held up in traffic more than he is going to have a gap. So this is going to be very interesting. But a very good battle going on right now for third position in the GTPs between Laus Olsen and Aitor Sintes Guindo. The two of them side by side as they go down Mountain Straight with a big pack of cars. Toko Hisada and Fabian Newbluth tucked in right behind them.
Yeah, they're going to get single file here. The playtime part of the circuit is over, and now here's a part where they have to knuckle down and make sure they don't make any mistakes. And when they get back out to the back straight in about a minute's time, they can race side by side again.
So I stand corrected. Matthias Havdal did find a gap, a 13-second gap back in 8th position. Now, like you said, playtime is over. Togo Hisada had the position on Fabian Jungbluth going into Quarry, but couldn't quite hold on to it, and so Jungbluth was able to sneak his way through. So now both of them having caught up to the back of Laust Olsen and Aitor Sintes Guindo, as those two have been battling for a while. Aitor able to get past Laust Olsen on Mountain Straight, as we saw. So this battle for third position really heating up for these GTPs, especially closing in towards the pit stops. And it looks like we've had a driver around.
Yeah.
Peter Brzniak.
We'll trying to find out what's going on there, but I wanted to make a note that Sean Campbell is responding. He's came into the pits, so he recognized what Havdal has done, and he doesn't want to Havdal to have a clean air for any longer than he can. So Campbell's going to pit and try and come back out of in front and resume the net lead of this race.
There's Havdal making his way into the chase as Sean Campbell is in his box. Havdal's stop was 16.4 seconds. We'll see whether or not he is taking tires, so it's going to be a similar time. Havdal coming into the final corner. Murray's now. He's going to exit onto the pit straight as Campbell now is still in the box.
Lengthy, yeah.
Very long for Campbell. 20 seconds. That's going to lose him about 5 to 6 seconds on the road.
Yeah, surely had that pit time been normal, he would have came out still with the race lead. He hadn't really been in a lot of traffic on the previous lap. Like I say, they're on the same tire strategy. Here we go then. Now all of a sudden the Tracey has become the Traced and vice versa. And Havdal and Campbell aren't leading this race. There's a lot of traffic in front of them that still has to pit. And I wonder if any of the cars that went by them may opt to not take tyres during the second half. See if they can make something happen strategy-wise there.
That really has not made the strategy work before, but Fabian Newbluth was able to make the pass on Laust Olsen as they went through Griffins. So a good move from him. Laust Olsen now falling back from Jungbluth, who's been able to scamper away towards Aitor Sintes Guindo, who's the 2.5 up the road. Now Laust Olsen under pressure from Togo Hisada. Something tells me that Laust has some under-trade damage because he is extremely slow in a straight line compared to Togo, who's alongside him now. Laust Olsen late on the brakes into the chase. They're going to go side by side, but Togo with a better line off the corner, able to make that pass. Nicholas Schneider into the pits now from the lead.
Yeah, Nicholas Schneider had inherited that lead. Now I think that means Aitor Sintes Galino re-inherits the lead. I say re-inherits, he hasn't led so far today, but obviously still has another stop to make, and you can see him going up a mountain right there.
Absolutely, Galindo actually doing a not doing so hot through Hell Corner. He actually lost that second that he had to Fabian Jungbluth, and now they're catching up to Broquist and Donaghy as they come through Quarry. Oh, he gets held up there. That's going to be a brake check for both of them as they go past Broquist, who moved off to the right side. So here we go through the cutting and up here towards Reed Park. Diving through now, they've got Devin Donaghy to catch over the top of the hill. This is going to be close. Aitor's going to try and make it as they go through Solman, and Fabian Jungbluth has to wait.
Well, let's not forget, these are the two that came to blows earlier in this race, and so maybe they're giving each other a little bit more room this time around. By the way, pit road has been very busy. We still haven't had our GTO leaders come in, though. Phil Lake is still leading.
Yeah, and I think that's a gap that's closing a lot. Yuko Leskola has closed down a 3-second lead down to 1.5 seconds, and I think this has to do with traffic, to be honest with you. This is Michael Haynes that Yuko Leskola is passing now, but they had to pass Jake Gatlin and Carlos Fonseca as well. I think Gatlin really held up Phil Lake, so this gap is no longer a cushion for Phil Lake. He's got to put his foot down.
And obviously they still have a stop to make as well. Over halfway through this race here, round number 10 of the Kamel GT Championship here at Mount Panorama. We'll be going to Alton Park next week. About just as twisty, but a little bit more runoff area, I suppose.
A little bit, but the track surface is just as narrow for these drivers. Once again, taking a look at this battle, that's Aitor Sentes Galindo in the lead of the race. Fabian Jungbluth getting caught by Togo Hisada here as we are on the mountain straight headed towards the right-hander. Look at that, Togo Hisada making a dummy towards the inside. Fabian Jungbluth knows better than to take that one, though, so as they head up towards the cutting, got to dive up there. Aitor Sentes Galindo not really running away from these guys. I think Jungbluth has Aitor on pace. Togo Hisada might have Jungbluth on pace. They've got Laust Olsa a second and a half behind. He continues to fall off the back. Matthias Hovdal, our fastest pitter so far, still has an 8-second buffer ahead of him, but look at Togo catching Jungbluth as they come towards Skyline. Here we go. Oh man, Togo actually thought about making a dive into the S's. Thinks better of it this time around. The Dipper now for all these drivers, the GTPs, bottom out going through there. It can be a real challenge to keep those cars straight. They're able to do so. Now they've got Marty Olay up ahead of them that they're going to be catching coming off the corner. Fabian Jungbluth with a good run. We'll see whether or not that's good enough to catch up to Aitor, who gets held up by Marty. This is going to make things interesting as we get to the chase.
Yeah, things spread out a little bit there. I think obviously Fabian might have been able to get a little bit of a tow due to what was going on in front of him. That probably helped him pull away a little bit from Togo. But what will be interesting here, since we're having so many stops around the middle of a race, is anyone coming in? And there's your answer. That's Aitor making his way into the pits.
Absolutely, Galindo goes into the pits, giving up the lead to Fabian Jungbluth. But speaking of the lead, Phil Lake has been caught by Yuko Leskola by a second last lap. Yuko has saved his tires. That's not something we often say about Yuko Leskola, but he saved his tires up until this point in the race and is now putting some heavy pressure on Phil Lake before their pit stops. This could make things very interesting here, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, if you're going to try and make an undercut or something happen, the best place to be is tucked right up under the gearbox of a car that you're going to try and beat on strategy. Obviously, they may be coming up to GTO traffic in GTO cars, but this could still throw a little bit of a spanner in the works here.
Absolutely.
Oh, down on the inside. That's not the best place to pull over right there.
Well, Horace did manage to get it woed up and not carry too much speed to Forrest's elbow, but Yuko Leskola has a great draft this time around on Phil Lake. I'm not sure he'll make the move, but he's definitely got the draft. He's got the opportunity if he wants it into the chase. Here we go. He takes the right hand. Here he goes. He's going to make the move now. Phil Lake. Oh, they almost made contact as they head into the chase. That was close between Yuko and Phil.
I wouldn't be surprised if Leskola comes into the pits here.
He thought about it. I saw him almost take that left-hand turn, but he thinks better of it this time around. I think Leskola wants another chance at Phil Lake on track.
Yep, well, he's stayed out on track another lap, so I'm going to agree with you there. He hasn't got a great exit out of hell, though. Our two GTP leaders who haven't pit yet come in. That's Fabian Jungbluth and Togo Hazada. So it'll be interesting to see how they come up with relation to each other.
Leskola not close enough to Phil Lake to make a move this time around, but Phil looking fairly scrappy. Leskola actually clips the inside curbing just a little bit. With Jungbluth and Hisada coming into the pits, that gives the lead over to Laust Olsen, who has yet to pit. Then it's Matthias Havdal 5 seconds behind him. Sam, these two GTO drivers are absolutely ringing it out over the top of the hill, and both of them don't look entirely comfortable with their cars at this time.
No, well, it's not. These older cars aren't exactly comfortable either. By the way, that Jungbluth battle that we saw, he's came out in front of Togo Hisada still, so no change for position there. And Phil Lake does have some scratches down the side of his car. To be honest, I think I've seen a lot of cars racing with damage today. It might not necessarily be car-to-car contact. Sometimes it's car-to-wall. The walls are never far away here. And sometimes car-to-curbs. You mentioned those tall curbs at the top of this broadcast, Adam. I think those have dinned up a few fenders.
Absolutely. You can absolutely ding up some fenders. As we see Douglas Cloud making his way through. He actually takes away Phil's line a little bit, but fortunately Phil able to get back to the racing line, but Yuka Leskola with a little bit more of a straight shot into the corner as they go through the chase. Very close between the two of them. Yuka Leskola with some good pace. Look at this. This is Pablo Suarez who's going to go up the outside of them. That takes away Phil's line once again. Yuka Leskola trying to capitalize on this, and that's Douglas Cloud going off circuit. Both Yuko and Phil have to avoid him as he rejoins, so that's going to be advantage no one as we head up to Hell Corner once again. These guys not having pit yet.
Looking at the lap times, they just turned a 2:02, and that is what they've been doing most of the race. So we've picked up a GTP car here. But Lake is being challenged. We might want to go back to the GTO leaders because I think the position has finally changed. Leskola has taken the lead.
Leskola finally, with the opportunity, was able to make the move on the mountain straight with the draft and get himself by with an inside move, pushing Phil Lake offline. That's exactly where you want to make that move. Now Phil Lake's going to have to make the recovery and the pit stop. It's going to be a real challenge for him, considering he clearly does not seem comfortable in the car right now.
You can see a little over 20 minutes left to go, so we're about to start entering the closing stages of this race. Probably about a little over 10 laps left on track, which of course sounds like not a lot, but around here at Mount Panorama, there's still a lot of racing.
Absolutely, about 22 minutes for these drivers, as it looks like Ove Trangrade has... he's retired.
He just came into
race.
the pit. Oh yeah, no, you're right, he's out. But he drove into the pit, so I thought he just came in for a pit stop, but yeah, he hasn't came back out.
Well, that frees up the Dirty Twerk driver who was battling with him for a while, but we're on board with Phil Lake. Take a look at this battle. Oh, Yuka Leskola locks up the brakes going through the chase, giving an opportunity to Phil, but he's going to get cut off by Matthias Havdal. Second right now in the, Phil Lake's going to come into the pits.
Down that tricky pit entry, you definitely don't want to get that wrong, or else it could end in disaster. So I thought this was going to be the card that Leskola was going to play a couple of laps ago, be in the car in second position, try and make something happen strategy-wise, but Philip Lake is now the driver who had dropped to second position, so he's going to play that strategy card. His car goes up on the track, so it looks like he is going to take tyres. Again, still quite a long ways to go in this race, 20 minutes of racing, as Leskola has to let I was going to say the GTP leader, but of course he's not anymore.
Yeah, Sean Campbell in second place now, 4 seconds behind Matthias Havdal, who has dropped back. Matthias Havdal, our de facto leader once Laust Olsen comes in. I would be surprised if Laust Olsen could make it the rest of the race on fuel, considering this is a pretty fuel-hungry track. We got two very long straights for these drivers. So that'll be very interesting to see whether or not Laust holds up Matthias here.
Well, Laust and Matthias both just got held up by a GTO car they caught at the top of a hill there. That's going to allow Sean Campbell to, look at the timing there at the top left of your screen. All that has caused Sean Campbell to run down Matthias Avdol quite a lot. Now, obviously, we're not too concerned about Laust Olsen because he does still have to pit again, but we might still have a battle for the GTP win.
Well, the thing I'm concerned about with Laust is whether or not he holds up Matthias Havdahl, because that could bring Sean Campbell definitely back into the game. Laust is not coming to the pits this time, which means Havdahl is going to have to contend with him over the top of the hill.
And Lescala has gone off. Lescala is off at the chase. He gets back going again, but that's going to cost him a lot of time in that race against Phil Lake, and he's coming into the pits. So here's his mistake. He's trying to make as much time as he can to beat Phil Lake after his pit stop, and that's not going to help him save a lot of time. Now, he is a Finnish driver, so he's probably used to off-roading.
Absolutely.
From my understanding of Finnish drivers.
Absolutely, but that means that he's going to have lost about 2 to 3 seconds to Phil. Let's see whether or not Phil can maximize on this. There he goes. He was sliding through the chase. He realizes what's happened. He's trying to make up as much time as possible. Jukka Leskala in the box. 15.3 seconds was Phil Lake's time. Oh, Phil! He's very loose as he goes through the final corner, but he's still going to beat Jukka out. Jukka there on track, and there goes Phil Lake into hell corner. Phil absolutely rigging this car out, trying to make it out of the box ahead of Jukka. He's able to do so, but only by 0.8 of a second. Jukka still within striking distance, but the lead of the GTPs is closing. Havdahl and Laust Olsen under 2 tenths of a second.
So we still have great battles for the lead in both classes going on, both separated by less than a second with less than 20 minutes left to go on the clock. And here we go. Olsen still has to pit. Havdahl trying to make quick work of it. Sean Campbell, he probably didn't like seeing that because Olsen really didn't put that much of a fight there. I wonder if Olsen now realizes he's in the middle of a lead battle and he's going to come into the pits and get out of the way here. Or maybe not.
So Laust Olsen stays out on track. Sean Campbell already blinking his lights at Laust, saying, hey, dude, I got to get by. Oh, my goodness. Ian Haycox goes loose on the final corner, almost runs into Laust. Look at this. Laust Olsen's going to hold up Sean Campbell as they go through hell corner. This is feeling a little unfair for Sean.
Well, it is in a way, but at the same time, he held up Matthias, you know. Oh, he's helping him here, though. Sean Campbell's getting a nice toe, and he's just going to blast by the number 18.
And about 30 seconds ago, I tried my best, but Nick Bakanos got sent into the wall by Martin Krajcik, unfortunately, through the cutting. So Nick Bakanos from 5th position is now parked, and he's taking a tow. Here we see the incident, just right here, through that quick left-hander. Krajcik goes where no car should go, up the inside of that left-hander, and sends Nick Bakanos off. Nick Bakanos takes a tow into the pits.
Yeah, unfortunately, very easy for stuff like that to happen here. And out! Out goes Lescala! He has lost it out of the final corner.
Oh my goodness.
A big one.
He just got his right tires on the grass. Jukka Leskala right here. And then goes for the wildest ride. That is huge for the championship points, Sam. Leskala doesn't have any more drop weeks.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just those.
Matthias Havdahl and Campbell were side by side for the moment. Havdahl still hanging on to the lead, but just barely. They got held up by Michael Haynes as they went through the chase. The lead of these races for both classes are absolutely crazy right now.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the lead for the GTO field isn't too crazy right now, but for GTP, it's certainly on with 15 minutes left to go. And now things calm down a tiny bit as Havdahl gets a nice exit out of hell. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's pretty much mono versus v mono in the GTO battle for the championship between Phil Lake and Lescala. And Lake had the advantage coming in, and it looks like now for sure he's going to have a massive advantage coming out of this race.
Absolutely. If he can secure that advantage even more next week at Alton Park, going into the finale at Le Mans, he's going to feel a little bit more secure about the super speedway of Kamel GT. So that should be a very interesting race for sure. But we're keeping our eyes here on this between Matthias Hovdal and Sean Campbell. And look at this! Getting held up. Sean Campbell takes opportunity. Marty Olay is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Hovdal can't even get past him as they go into the S's.
I'm pretty sure Nigel Mansell doesn't watch our broadcasts on a daily basis, but I think he would have been impressed with that one.
Absolutely, very Mansell-esque. But Hovdal just now sneaking by, and he's lost 2.5 seconds to Campbell in that exchange.
Yeah, Campbell read the traffic perfectly. I wonder if we'll be able to get an onboard replay once things have calmed down here a little bit. And it sounds like we might not be able to get that. But, so there you see the distance. Obviously, Hovdal still has Olsen behind him, but Olsen finally coming into the pits.
Lost Olsen cannot make it through the rest of the race with the fuel, so unfortunately he has to come into the pits. That's going to mean that Matthias Hovdal doesn't have pressure from behind. So Hovdal will be free to try and catch back up Sean Campbell. Now remember, Campbell's catching him by a second a lap before that, so I'm not sure whether Hovdal has the speed to challenge him, but he's already closed the gap by 0.2 since being cut clear of Laust. And speaking of battles, 6 is close between Javier Mosquera, Fabian Jungluth, and Aitor Sintes Guindo in the GTPs as well. All of these 3 drivers have been duking it out all race and are still doing so after the pit stops. That's Jungluth through. Mosquera, not a great run through Hell Corner. Aitor Sintes Guindo is going to have a good opportunity here.
They go down the back straight with Jungluth leading this pack. In 5th position overall. The challenge is for the position behind him. And that actually allows Fabian to pull away a tiny bit, but he's got some GTO traffic who gets out of the way of the inside, lets those 4 prototypes by.
Yeah, you're right. It's now 4. We got Togo Hisada, who's back into this battle. Remember, he's been battling with Jungluth for a long time. Jungluth now in front of all of these guys, so these battles keep swapping who their participants are, but these drivers keeping each other company as they go over the top of the hill.
Yeah, Jungluth pulls away a tiny bit, and more GTO traffic as they go over the crest and skyline. So Jungluth is in 5th. 6th, 7th, 8th is really where it's all close right now, and that's Javier Mosquera in the pink car in 6th position. Behind him in 7th position is Aitor Sintes Guindo in that blue and white machine, and then the yellow car bringing up caboose of a train in 8th place is Togo Hisada, as we've got less than 12 minutes to go now.
Aitor with a great run on Mosquera. I think he's going to be able to get the move done as they head towards the chase. He's able to move over to the right side and completely clear him before we head through the right-hander. Togo Hisada is going to go deep on the brakes into the chase, able to get past Mosquera as well as he's trying to cling to the back of Guindo. And Fabian Jungluth and Guindo as well as Hisada are going to be in a battle soon because Jungluth caught up to Ben Laughter. That held him up as he went through Murray's.
Yeah, that was not a good lap from Mosquera there. He started it in 5th and gradually dropped all the way back to 8th before finally coming into the pits. And now, a nice view for those drivers as they exited Hell Corner that time around. And that's there's a lot of empty racetrack for them all of a sudden.
Absolutely. They got Marty Olay, who they'll probably catch heading into the S's at the top of the hill. So they've got a little bit of room to try and catch up to the back of Jungluth here for the 5th position.
Last Olsen is in pits, and I'm pretty sure that's again because I think he came in last lap too.
That's correct. That's a 2nd time for Laust. So unfortunately, I don't think he got enough fuel in the car that time around, or he got a penalty.
Either way, that is unfortunate. Mick Tupolev is also in the pits. I don't know if that's no, he's rolling again. He just hadn't served his stop yet, I suppose. Having a pretty decent, quiet race in the number 31 car as we pick up our GTP leaders who have closed in again.
Yeah, Hovdahl has been able to close the gap, and this is once again due to traffic. That was Niels Core who they just passed. This is Carlos Fonseca in the GTO. They got Phil Lake another 9 seconds up the road for them. So Sean Campbell making his way past Fonseca. Hovdahl's going to dive it up the inside of Hell Corner as well. Means he's not going to get a good run onto the front straightaway. It's not going to matter that much considering the fact that Campbell has the draft from Douglas Cloud, a lapped GTP up ahead of them. So he's going to be able to go by. Cloud actually lifting for both Hovdahl and Campbell as they go by. So Hovdahl with a great opportunity to catch further to the back of Campbell as they go up the hill. They're going to have Mika Tupola, who they're going to catch right around McPhillamy Park, which is going to be a real challenge for them.
Yeah, I just gave Mick a little bit of a shout out, so I hope I haven't pulled the commentator's curse here, because they are about to catch him at a very unfortunate place. In the final 10 minutes of the race, we got Battle for the lead, catching the GTO car. They both make it by.
Very good move from Campbell and Hovdahl. They saw that one coming. Now
no, but there's contact behind. Mika does get hit from the Coca-Cola car.
Fortunately, everyone's able to keep going as Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdahl catch up to the back of Phil Lake, our GTO leader. This is going to hold up Campbell as they go into the Forest Elbow. Very close between them. Campbell and Hovdahl both are going to have the draft of Phil. Phil has to take the wide line as Campbell couldn't figure out where he was going to go. But Hovdahl with a great opportunity here. He's going to have a good run into the chase.
He's got a very nice toe going down the back straight. He's already going to pull out alongside. Sean is forcing him to go to the outside, but he might have a track to himself by the time he gets into the braking zone of a chase. He goes in deep. Has he gone in too deep? He's up there, right up next to the curve. Hovdahl takes her lead as Campbell runs on the curb, almost loses control as they work their way down into Murray's. Come around the left-hander, 8.5 minutes left on the clock as they cross the line. The battle is still on, but it's Hovdahl with the lead.
What a move from Hovdahl to make the pass around the outside of the chase. Such an impressive move. While that was happening, Aitor Sentes Galindo ended up hitting the outside wall in the cutting of his own volition. Unfortunately, he has taken a tow and he is out of the race. That frees up Toko Hisada to chase down Youngblood for fourth position. But this battle for the lead is just too much to take our eyes away from.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Aitor been having a good race, the number 16 car, so the 16th highest rating in the field. Sean Campbell really missed his marks there. And he had been handing out in the top 5 all race on. And Hovdahl gets held up by the GTO. He just gained a lot of time over Campbell from Campbell's mistake, but then the GTO traffic kind of undid all that.
Absolutely, the GTO just in the middle of the track, not giving these guys anywhere to go. So unfortunately for Hovdahl getting held up there, Campbell got held up as well by Jack Gatlin, the GTO that we were just talking about, but he's able to close in once again on the brakes. These two drivers, even though they tend to drive with very trimmed out race cars, the draft seems to be very much in effect for them today. So especially down here on the, oh no, that was Hovdahl very deep on the brakes, locked up the right front. This is going to give an opportunity to Sean Campbell.
I was trying to see if it was windy at all today. Maybe a headwind is helping them out down here. We'll analyze that more in a moment. There is your weather at the top of the screen. But right now, I think we want to watch the cars because Sean Campbell is trying to do to Hovdahl what Hovdahl did to him last lap, and he's going to be able to do it.
Oh boy, both of them very loose off of the corner, now into Murray's. Look at this. Hovdahl's going to try and go around the outside of Murray's, or maybe try and do an over-under here, but the GTPs generally don't have the traction to be able to do that, so unfortunately he has to fall in behind once again. He's going to have an opportunity through Hell Corner and onto the mountain straight. Let's see what happens here. That wind definitely a factor at 13 kilometers per hour out of the southeast, so that's definitely something that's playing into the hands of these drivers as they try and make a pass.
I think we're looking at 4 laps left to go based on the timing of when they cross the line, but we'll calculate that more here. They're not waiting until the final lap.
Not at all.
Uh-oh, GTO traffic.
Absolutely, they've got Axel Boada Herreras up ahead of them, as well as Devin Donaghy. Donaghy has been involved in a couple of multi-class moments here, so has Herreras. So here we go up into the most challenging part to make a pass. Here we go. Oh no, that's Campbell getting pushed off, and Hovdahl gets pushed off as well as Herreras was in the middle of the track. Hovdahl with most of the damage from that incident.
Well, they're both able to save it. They're both able to keep on going. Obviously, Herreras in the GTO came off worst of that.
Yeah, he's just in the middle of the track. He was actually weaving in front of them, trying to let them by, and that's exactly what you don't want to do in a multi-class scenario. You just need to drive your line. The faster drivers will absolutely be able to find their way by safely.
Well, I'm not going to say that ends the battle for the win because there's still more traffic, but it definitely means fourth place, I think, is the best battle right now. Fabian Jungbluth, though, has just gotten by a bunch of GTO traffic and pulled way ahead of Hisada.
Yeah, so as Kamel comes around, he's got the least damage between himself and Hovdal. But you're right, Jungbluth now in traffic with Hisada. There we see Jungbluth caught up behind Peter Brzezniak. So this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, Hovdal's fighting for control. He hasn't came in the pits, but you're right. He's definitely not going to be able to win the race for the car as it is right now. Oh, that's not a good place to run off.
Well, that was a scary moment for Hisada. He lost about 20 miles an hour on that one. We're going to take us on board as Peter Brzezinski just ends up going into the grass a little bit and then coming back on track right in front of Hisada. Here we go.
Yeah, Brzezinski was missing the whole front clip of his car earlier, so he's definitely been involved in the wars today.
So our leader in the GTOs, Phil Lake, has quite a bit of time over Niels Kor in second position. Sean Campbell now has 8 seconds over Matthias Hovdal, who's struggling. There's Jack Gatlin in the middle of the road once again as Jungbluth was going around. But Phil Lake right there, you can see Jungbluth and Hisada right behind him. So Phil's going to get caught by the both of them right about in that trouble spot right through Reed Park, as we talked about. So here we go into the cutting. We're on board with Jungbluth as he catches up to our GTO leader. Let's hope that these guys can all navigate this better. Let's see whether or not they put on a clinic or give us more of the same.
Yeah, remember when they were all being patient behind each other at the start of a race and not seeing
no!
Here we go! Big incident for both of them. That's going to take them both out of the race, and they got the tow quickly because there might be more cars coming.
So, unfortunately for both of them, this just such a big incident, and I'll be honest, there was a large amount of netcode in that one. So Joseph Mudrack now moves himself into fourth position. He's now trying to navigate his way around Brzezinski and Niels Kor, who's currently second place in the GTOs. This has been one crazy race, Sam.
Yeah,
we're not even done yet.
I think it could be a pass for second by the end of it. As slow as Hovdal was going, I think Schneider could get him.
We're going to take a look at a nice battle here. This has been going on all race between Carlos Fonseca and Mika Tupelo. These two drivers have been absolutely duking it out, having their own little battle while everyone else is worried about points and worried about positions and multi-class up ahead of them. These two guys in the middle of the GTO field have absolutely been having a heyday battling each other. I've been in battles like these before where you're not really worried about much, just racing the guy ahead of you. And these two guys may not have the fastest laps, but they're absolutely having the best time.
Hisada, oh no, he is going to come into the pits. I thought for a moment he'd be trying to stay out. His car was absolutely crabbing down the back straight, but kudos to him, he drove it back.
So Carlos Fonseca, unfortunately, having a missed shift off of Hell Corner is going to lose a lot of time to Mika Tupelo, so Tupelo able to snake away. We're going to head back up to Phil Lake right now. 13.5 seconds in the lead of the GTOs. Sean Campbell now 12.5 seconds in the lead of the GTPs. Phil has been, I mean, he was under some heavy pressure from Yuko Leskala early on in the race, but was able to weather that and has not made the he did not make the major mistakes that Yuko has. So fortunately for him, still in command of this race.
And it's the final lap. Sean Campbell comes across the start-finish line to start the final lap. And Sorry, I was looking at the times there. Yeah, Havdor and Schneider are about to close in on each other for second and third, and I don't think Havdor's actually going to put up much of any of a fight there. Schneider is catching Campbell quite quickly, but obviously in the final lap he's not going to have anything happen. But as we see a GTO car off there in the background, that's showing you that Campbell definitely has taken some damage from that incident. But I think he should be able to bring it home.
Yeah, unfortunately, Schneider just didn't have the pace for the drivers today. His best lap 0.3 off of Sean Campbell's, but with the extra damage, that gap will close. But it's not going to mean much, like you said, because of how big the gap is. That incident happening about 20 seconds up the road from Schneider, who is still in a battle with Jungbluth, Olsen, and Hisada at the time. So that happening a while ago, Schneider's been trying to close the gap, but hasn't been able to do so. Still in second place as he goes into the S's and down towards the Dipper for the final time.
Yeah, and there's Phil Lake. He's working his final lap as well, but he's at the start of a lap. Sean Campbell is at the end of a lap right now. He's working his way on down the back straight. If there's any credit where it's due, Sean Campbell was leading this race when they came up to the GTO traffic and kind of messed up everything there at the end. So he was in the lead and he's going to finish in the lead. Well, a shame though we don't get a proper finish. It's obviously a lapped GTP car he's letting by there as he's working his way into Maurice for the final time. It's beaten and it's battered, but it's crossing the line first. Sean Campbell wins at Mount Panorama.
Fantastic win for Sean Campbell. A very consistent drive from Nicholas Schneider as he comes across the line and finishes in second position. Matthias Havdal will finish third, even with the damage he has. So a good drive from him, absolutely. And then our eyes go to Phil Lake, who is just now coming through Forest Elbow for the final time. Phil Lake, after having a lot of pressure from Yuko Leskla at the midpoint of this race up until the pit stops, he was able to put on a show afterwards, absolutely sliding it through the chase and through Murray's to get that lead away from Yuko Leskla, who put Yuko under pressure to catch back up to him, causing Yuko to make a mistake. Now Yuko out of this race, losing a ton of points considering he's out of drop points for the season. Phil Lake, as he comes through the chase for the final time, he's going to start the drift show now. Pretty sure he's going to drift it through Murray's if I'm not mistaken. We'll see, depending on how he's feeling today. He does brake early, and he does not drift it through the corner. He's just going to power it straight through. Phil Lake wins here at Bathurst.
Have a battle for 8th place going on in GTO still. Oh, and it's ending with a car off in the grass entering chase.
So that's Niels Kor who finishes in second position. Mika Tupola trying to hang on to 8th position. Carlos Fonseca in 9th. That was Jack Gatlin who is off track. He's in 11th and lapped down from these two. Carlos Fonseca closing on the brakes, but Mika Tupola is going to beat him to the line. Mika Tupola 8th, Carlos Fonseca 9th.
Yeah, no, that was the battle for 8th. That just got won there by Mika Tupola. The car that was off though in the grass was Martin Kreslik, who actually comes home to finish 7th. And things could have gotten a bit ugly down there in the chase, but they didn't, and everyone finished in the positions they were in. So as we let the last couple of cars finish, congrats to Sean Campbell, your GTP winner. Congrats to Phil Lake, your GTO winner. We'll have a chance to talk to some of your top performers in just a moment here on GSRC and give you a full race rundown. But first, we're going to take a short break. Hello and welcome back to Mount Panorama, where we just witnessed round number 10 of the season, and obviously this is a little post-race shenanigans going on there in the background, although I think it's quite representative of what we saw in the last 20 minutes there of a race, where the chaos picked up after the first half was rather calm. Sean Campbell comes home your race winner. Nick Schneider gets a little points boost by being able to pick off second position, thanks to Matthias Havdal having damage in the closing laps. They were all half a minute ahead of Joseph Mudrek, who we didn't talk about a whole lot, but there he comes home in fourth position, ahead of Javier Moscara and Laust Olsen. Martin Krejcik is in seventh place, and then the last car on the lead lap was Gianluca Gabbiani. I don't think we mentioned much at all, but nice finish for him. One lap down is Mark Gamark, and then Douglas Cloud finished in 10th position, also a lap down. Pablo Suarez had trouble early, but he was able to salvage 11th. Now you come to Togo Hazada and Fabian Jungbluth, who I'm sure would like to have a couple of corners back.
Phil Lake takes the win in the GTOs after besting Niels Kor. Ukuleskala having a wreck and actually going out. That's going to really change the championship picture going into next week. Reed Miller comes home in third position, a consistent drive from him, with Marty Olay, unfortunately, is being a part of a couple of our lead GTP incidents, but still coming home in fourth, so a good finish for him. Ben Laughter coming home in fifth position with Ian Haycox in sixth. Devin Donaghy's going to come home in seventh spot today, ahead of Mika Tupola in the eighth spot. Carlos Fonseca falls down to ninth with Michael Haynes in 10th position. Jack Gatlin's going to come home in the 11th spot, and he is your last of your good finishers today. Itro Sensis Galindo, Fabio Sol, Nicholas Rage, Peter Brusniak, all those drivers are your last finishers, and then the rest of the drivers actually DNF today.
Yeah, quite a few DNFs, and we got Phil Lake here, who was one of the finishers and the top finisher over in the GTO class. Well, first off, congrats, Phil, but I'm sure you would have liked to have fought for it a little bit more in the closing laps.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. It was pretty stressful. It was a real shame to see Yuko make a mistake there. He seemed to really find his pace halfway through the race. I got held up by a back marker, and then once he got close to me, it seemed like he really had the pace. So I'm not sure how it would have gone. I managed to repass him in the pit stop, and then I imagine he would have caught me in the slipstream, and we would have been fighting it out till the end. But that didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I was thinking at first, oh, well, he's probably he probably felt bad that he saw a car go off behind him, but honestly, it was probably a bit of relief, is the indication you're giving me. That being said, obviously this is a massive boon in the championship for you. We've got Alton Park and Le Mans coming up. How are you feeling with just 2 rounds left to go?
Yeah, pretty good. Now I think I just need to finish both races. I think my maths isn't great while driving, so I was just trying to figure it out in the last few laps, but I'm pretty sure now just a couple of strong-ish finishes, and I don't need to beat Yuko anymore, so it's nearly there.
We saw in the closing laps of a race a little bit of controversial incidents between GTO and GTP traffic. As a GTO driver, how difficult is it when a GTP car catches you on the mountain portion of the circuit?
I would say it's so difficult to the point where there's one place to pass, or a set of corners where you can pass, and if you don't get it done there, then you really should just wait, because anything else is going to be unexpected and require the Audi to kind of see it coming. And a lot of the time, I mean, the track's hard enough as it is. You're not looking in your mirrors, like checking to see if someone's going through in a place you don't expect. So there really is only that kind of the top McPhillamy Park kind of section of the track where you can pass. And if you don't get by, then it's just unfortunate for you, I guess.
All right. Well, congrats on your win once again, Phil. And we'll let you go, and hope to talk to you next week at Alton Park.
Thanks, Sam.
That was Phil Lake, your winner over in GTO. A driver who was running up front in GTP, Adam, was Matthias Havdal, and you've caught up with him.
Yeah, Matthias, fantastic race today up until that point where you got the damage. But talk to me about the beginning of your race. You had quite a bit of pace on the rest of the field up until the pit stops. And then after the pit stops, you're really fighting with Sean Campbell hard. How was it fighting with him side by side like that?
Yeah, it was really fun racing. Just a very close and fair battle. So I would have liked it to go all the way to the end, of course. So that was a bit unfortunate. But yeah, it was a great battle all the way. And there's a bit of a strategic element here, obviously, with the pit stop and the traffic and all that. So yeah, I was really enjoying that.
And, you know, talking about the incident up at the top of the road brings up the multi-class aspect. As a GTP driver, what are your expectations when you come up on the back of a GTO driver coming through, coming through Reed Park and Solman?
Yeah, so usually we just want them to drive their natural line because sometimes, they try to leave space and whatnot, and that ends up being more unpredictable because not everyone does it. But I think really through that section where we had the incident, it's you can pass there, but the GTO has to be expecting it basically, so they can facilitate the move. Because you can do it without time loss or a collision, but if something goes even slightly wrong, you get what happened there basically. So looking at the replay, I think I could have actually avoided it if I'd been a little bit further to the left myself. But yeah, it's you have to take some risks here because the Audis they slow you down a lot over the top there, and I mean, you saw how Sean passed me there when I made the wrong move on a GTO. So yeah, you got to try.
Absolutely. And next week we head to Olden Park, which has some more runoff, but it's just as narrow and fairly windy. What are your thoughts heading into that race?
Yeah, in some ways, I guess it's a kind of a similar character to this track. Probably very challenging with regards to traffic. I think it's a fun circuit though. So yeah.
Well, congratulations, Matthias, on a third place. I know it's not where you wanted to finish, but still a good job to hang on to that. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank Sean for a good race, good battle, and you guys for putting on these broadcasts.
Well, thanks, Matthias. And that was Matthias Hopdahl, third place in the GTPs. And we have Niels Kor, who finishes second in the GTOs, talking to Sam.
Yeah, Niels, first off, congratulations. I've got to admit, we didn't see a whole lot of you during the race because there was a nice little battle going on for the lead. How are you feeling about your second place finish?
I'm very, very happy with that result. I haven't been doing Kamel for quite a while now, so it's really nice to finish in P2 on my first race for like a few months.
Now, how was it dealing with all the traffic and everything out there? We've brought this up with the other two drivers, but I'm sure it got a little bit scary at times at the top of a hill with all the walls around.
To be fair, I expected it to be a bit worse. For me, it was actually quite fine. I also noticed that I was always, like, when Ove was still behind me, I was always gaining some time on him in the traffic. It was quite fine for me. But yeah, it's definitely more scary than on all the other tracks.
Well, you were able to make it through and finish second place behind Phil Lake and ahead of Reed Miller there on the podium. We've got two races left to go at Alton Park and at Le Mans between now and the end of the season. How are you feeling about your chances there?
I'm probably only going to do Le Mans. I'm not a big fan of these smaller tracks, so I'm probably only going to do the Le Mans race. I always like to do races there. Yeah, I think I can do pretty well.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks at Le Mans. We'll let you go, but anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
As always, I would like to thank my team, especially Alex and Jakub. They both have been watching the stream, I think. And yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us. And that was Niels Kor, your second place finisher here today at Mount Panorama. We got one more interview. Adam, you've called up with Ben Laughter.
Absolutely, Ben. I mean, overall, a relatively quiet day for you today, but quite a few moments with some GTP drivers who came on through. Talk to me about your race.
Yeah, they say it's a 5-speed car, but I swear for that first lap, I could only find 3 of the gears, and I struggled to keep up with that front group for a minute. But got settled into a good battle with Ian Haycock's kind of a couple seconds behind Martin, and then I was sad to see Ian get caught up with some Nissans. But from my perspective, you race the cars here second, you race the mountain first, and I feel like I survived my way past some faster guys today.
Absolutely, definitely bested Ian Haycox, who had his own issues with the mountain. But talk to me about the traffic today, because like you said, you race the cars here second, but in a multi-class race, the GTPs tend to be somewhat of a part of the track that you end up having to be careful of. So talk to me about what multi-class was like for you today.
Well, there's a combination of hold your line, be predictable, but also block the hell out of it. Right. If you just don't want to be passed in a certain section because of the way it's going to upset your line and send you into a wall, then you start that corner a little bit slower and a little bit farther inboard. Right. Car placement is what it's all about in multi-class, especially here. And you just have to broadcast with body language what you want the guy behind to do, and hope that they listen. I think I only had 2 or 3 moments the whole race where I felt like someone did something sketchy, but the rest of it I was pretty happy with traffic today. I was mugged by it, but that's the way it works here.
Absolutely. And next week we have to Oulton Park. What do you think your chances are at that particular race course?
I don't know. I've stepped away from Kamel a little bit lately, but Oulton Park's a blast of a track. I've done pretty well there in the past, and I think I'll probably show up for that. I really enjoy, unlike Nils, I'm sort of the opposite of Nils here. I really like those tight, twisty, lots of shifting, lots of undulation sort of tracks. So I'll probably be there for that.
Well, Ben, congratulations on your 5th place finish. Is there anyone you want to thank today?
This community, man. Every time I come back, I tend to have a good time.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Ben, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Oulton Park. That was Ben Laughter, our 5th place finisher. Back to you, Sam.
Yeah, and I think that's going to wrap up things from Mount Panorama here. And I think I'm going to echo what they just said a moment ago, Adam, in that, yes, there was a little bit of chaos towards the end there, but honestly, for most of the race, it was a bit calmer than I'd anticipated.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic race, to be honest, and barring a couple of back markers that really struggled towards the end of the race, honestly, very good racing, very clean racing, and some awesome side-by-side moments, some great passes, especially through the chase today. Great stuff from the Kamel community.
And we would like to thank everyone from the Kamel community for coming out here today and putting on a great show for all of us. Additional thanks goes out to all of the companies that help provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts, and we're going to list those on your screen right there. Thanks to June Lalonde, who provides us with our music, and you can see the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can also check us out on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. Join us live again this time next week for round number 10 of the Kamel GT Championship at Oulton Park. All of our upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen, so be sure to check those out, mark them down in your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. That's round number 11 at Oulton Park, actually. 2 races left to go. So until then, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.